I was let go the same day the CEO flew his mistress to Dubai, so I sent the footage to his wife. "Hi, I'm Jessica Adams, and I'm 35 years old. What happened to me could happen to anyone who thinks loyalty and hard work protect you from corporate betrayal. Before I tell you how I watched a Fortune 500 CEO's empire crumble from a single USB drive, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. If you love stories where justice isn't just served but delivered with precision, you're in the right place. Now let me tell you how losing everything became the blueprint for the perfect revenge." Nathan Westfall's smile was fake when he called me into his glass office that Tuesday morning. I'd been his executive assistant for 13 years, knew every tell, every micro-expression. His jaw was too tight, his hands too still on the polished desk. "Jessica, we need to discuss some organizational changes," he said, not meeting my eyes. The words hit like ice water. "Budget cuts," he explained. "Restructuring. Nothing personal." But I knew better. I'd seen the company's mounting debt, the quarterly losses Nathan tried to hide from shareholders. Westfall Industries was hemorrhaging money, yet he'd just promoted his latest conquest to operations manager despite her having zero qualifications. "Effective immediately," he continued, his voice growing firmer. "We'll need you to transition your responsibilities." My stomach twisted because I already knew who my replacement would be before he said her name. The same woman who'd been leaving lipstick marks on his coffee cups. The same woman who'd been staying late in his office with the door locked. "Amanda will be handling executive operations moving forward." There it was. 13 years of loyalty, reduced to a corporate euphemism while the company crumbled around us. The walk back to my desk felt like a funeral march. HR appeared beside me like vultures, their fake sympathy dripping as they shadowed my every move. Coworkers glanced up from their monitors, then quickly looked away. The shame burned hotter than anger. My hands shook as I packed 13 years of my life into a cardboard box. Awards, photos, the coffee mug my daughter made in 3rd grade. All reduced to forgotten memories. Then I saw her. Amanda Stiles, 26 years old with perfect blonde hair and a smile that could cut glass. She was already sitting at my desk, fingers dancing across my keyboard like she owned the place. My nameplate sat in the trash can beside her designer heels. She looked up and waved cheerfully. "Don't worry, Jessica. I'll take good care of everything." The security guard cleared his throat. "Time to go." As I walked toward the elevator, I caught Nathan watching from his office window. For just a moment, our eyes met. He didn't look away fast enough to hide the guilt. But guilt wouldn't pay my mortgage or explain to my teenage daughter why I'd lost my job from a company already drowning in debt. That night, I sat in my kitchen staring at the severance package. The terms were surprisingly generous, 6 months' salary and, notably, no non-compete clause. Nathan's legal team had apparently overlooked that detail for long-tenured operational staff. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Thought you should see this." A video file attachment followed. I almost deleted it, assuming spam, until I recognized the timestamp. Today's date, 11:47 p.m. Security camera footage from Westfall's executive floor. I watched Nathan and Amanda leaving together, both carrying matching designer luggage. The parking garage camera caught them kissing before getting into separate cars. A second text arrived, more where this came from. "Company's bleeding money and he's taking trips. Thought someone should know." My breath caught. Someone still inside was watching, documenting Nathan's behavior. I wasn't alone in this fight. I saved the video in 3 separate cloud accounts and typed back, "Thank you. We'll keep your identity safe." The response was immediate: justice needs witnesses. I called my best friend Karen the next morning, my voice shaking as I described what I'd seen. Send it to his wife immediately, she said without hesitation. Send it to HR, blow up his entire world. But something stopped me. The humiliation was still too raw, the anger too hot. I didn't want to be the scorned employee lashing out in desperation. I wanted something more calculated, more devastating. I need to think about this, I told Karen. Think about what? He destroyed your career for his mistress while the company's falling apart. He deserves everything coming to him. She was right, but revenge served cold always tasted better. Nathan had taught me patience over 13 years of watching him manipulate situations to his advantage. Now I'd use those lessons against him. I closed my laptop and started planning. Project Phoenix, I called it in my private notebook. Because sometimes you have to burn everything down to rise from the ashes. But first, I made a crucial mistake. I posted a vague comment on LinkedIn about corporate integrity and loyalty being a two-way street. Within hours, former colleagues were messaging me, fishing for details. My LinkedIn post backfired spectacularly. By morning, industry gossips were connecting dots between my departure and Nathan's marriage troubles. My phone rang constantly with reporters and rival companies seeking information. I deleted the post immediately, but screenshots had already spread through business chat groups. The premature exposure threatened my entire plan. If Nathan caught wind of my involvement now, he'd lawyer up and shut down all access to evidence. Panic set in until my anonymous source texted, "Saw your post. Made copies of everything before they lock it down. You're covered." A text from Harrison Phillips, a board member I'd worked with for years, provided unexpected salvation. "Jessica, heard about your departure. Let's have coffee soon. Board appreciates your years of service." Harrison had always respected my professionalism. If anyone could provide legitimate intelligence about board sentiment, it was him. The mistake might have actually opened doors. I texted back, "Would love to catch up, Mr. Phillips. Thank you for reaching out." 2 weeks into unemployment, I was learning that even errors could become weapons if handled correctly. My first freelance consulting gig came through a former client who'd always respected my work. The project was simple: operational efficiency analysis for a mid-sized logistics company. But the real value was the conversation over lunch. "Heard about your departure from Westfall," my client said carefully. "Industry's watching that company closely these days." I kept my tone neutral, professional. "Oh. Nathan's making questionable decisions. Company's been burning cash for months. 3 consecutive quarters of losses. Promoting inexperienced people while cutting experienced staff. Board's apparently concerned about his judgment." Each word was gold. I filed away every detail, every rumor, every hint of weakness. The business world was smaller than people realized. Reputation traveled fast, and Nathan's was already showing cracks. "Well, I'm focusing on new opportunities now," I said with a smile. Smart move. Companies like Westfall don't survive leadership instability when they're already leveraged to the hilt. As I drove home, I felt the first spark of hope in weeks. Nathan thought he'd eliminated a threat by firing me. Instead, he'd created his worst nightmare, someone who knew all his secrets and had nothing left to lose. My anonymous source delivered again. The encrypted message contained Westfall's monthly expense reports. Documents I'd never seen as an assistant but someone with higher access clearly had. 2 first-class tickets to Dubai, charged to the company credit card. Both departing tomorrow morning. The passenger names made my blood sing, Nathan Westfall and Amanda Stiles. A note accompanied the files. Board doesn't know about Dubai. Henderson's already asking questions about executive expenses. Companies borrowing to meet payroll. I saved everything in multiple locations. Evidence this damning couldn't risk being lost, especially with Westfall's financial instability making every expense scrutinized. The irony was breathtaking. While employees were being laid off to cut costs, Nathan was flying his mistress to luxury destinations on a company credit card that was probably maxed out. I texted my source, "This is perfect. Timing couldn't be better. More coming. Board meeting next week. Henderson's not happy." As I studied the expense reports, I realized Nathan wasn't just betraying his wife and employees, he was stealing from a company already circling the financial drain. Coffee with Harrison Phillips confirmed my worst fears about Westfall's financial state. The distinguished board member looked genuinely concerned as we settled into a quiet corner booth. "Jessica, I want to be direct," Harrison said, stirring his coffee thoughtfully. "The board is deeply concerned about Nathan's leadership during these challenging times." "Challenging times?" I prompted gently. "Companies hemorrhaging money. 3 major clients have expressed concerns about service quality. Nathan's been distracted lately. Missing crucial meetings, making impulsive personnel decisions." I kept my expression neutral while my pulse raced. "That must be difficult for the board." "It is. We're considering our options." Harrison studied my face carefully. "Your sudden departure raised questions." Nathan claimed budget cuts, but cutting experienced staff while hiring inexperienced managers seems counterproductive. The opening was perfect. "I've always put the company's interests first, Mr. Phillips. That won't change." "I hoped you'd say that. If any information comes to light that might help the board make informed decisions about leadership, I trust you'd handle it appropriately." As we parted ways, Harrison slipped me his business card. "My direct line," he said quietly. I had my board contact. Now I just needed the right moment to strike. The expense reports from my anonymous source grew more damaging each week. Company credit cards paying for Amanda's designer clothes, Nathan's expensive dinners, luxury hotels during business trips that lasted through weekends. Board's getting suspicious, my source texted. Henderson demanded expense justifications yesterday. Nathan scrambling to create fake business purposes. Meanwhile, my consulting work was expanding. Word had spread about my availability, and former clients were reaching out with projects. My reputation as a skilled, discreet professional remained intact while Nathan's crumbled. Karen called with gossip from her husband's real estate connections. 3 companies are looking at Westfall's office space. Rumor is they might need to downsize. The picture was forming clearly. Westfall Industries was dying from the inside. Financial mismanagement, leadership distraction, client defections. Nathan's affair wasn't just personal betrayal, it was corporate negligence during a critical period. I updated my notebook. Weakness number 1, financial instability. Weakness number 2, board pressure. Weakness number 3, distracted leadership. Each weakness was another weapon in my growing arsenal. Nathan was vulnerable, but he didn't know it yet. The engraved invitation arrived on elegant cardstock, hand-delivered to my apartment. The annual Fordham Foundation Gala, hosted by Victoria Westfall herself. My former vendor had invited me to their corporate table, unaware of my recent employment status. "It would be wonderful to see you again," the note read. "Victoria always speaks so highly of you." I stared at the invitation, remembering countless galas I'd helped organize as Nathan's assistant. Victoria had always been gracious to me, praising my attention to detail and professionalism. She had no idea her husband was betraying both our trust while driving their family's financial security into the ground. The gala was this Saturday. Perfect timing. I called my vendor back immediately. I'd be honored to attend. Thank you for thinking of me. Wonderful. Victoria specifically asked if you'd be there. She'll be so pleased. As I hung up, the plan crystallized in my mind. The Fordham Foundation Gala was Victoria's signature event, her moment to shine as the supportive CEO's wife. She took pride in hosting women of integrity in business. The irony would be delicious. While she celebrated female empowerment, her husband was exploiting his position to advance his mistress's career. Shopping for the perfect dress took all afternoon. Nothing too flashy, nothing too dramatic. I needed to blend in, appear dignified, unthreatening. The black silk dress I finally chose was elegant but understated, exactly the image I wanted to project. My anonymous source had provided one final gift, a USB drive containing all the evidence, professionally compiled and legally cleaned. From a concerned employee, the note read, "Can't be traced back to you." In my clutch, I placed a small manila envelope containing the USB drive. The footage was edited down to just the essential moments. Nathan and Amanda leaving together, kissing in the parking garage, the timestamp clearly visible. Expense reports showing Dubai charges, luxury purchases, all during Westfall's financial crisis. No inflammatory letter. No emotional accusations. Just evidence, clean and undeniable, provided by an anonymous company insider. My hands were steady as I applied my makeup. Tomorrow night, Victoria Westfall would learn the truth about her husband. And Nathan's carefully constructed world would begin its collapse. The woman in the mirror smiled back at me, strong, purposeful, ready for battle. The Fordham Foundation Gala was everything I remembered: crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, and the subtle scent of expensive perfume mixing with fresh flowers. The grand ballroom buzzed with conversation as the city's elite mingled over champagne and canapes. I spotted Victoria immediately. She was radiant in emerald green, gracefully moving between tables, ensuring every guest felt welcomed. Her genuine warmth had always impressed me during my years organizing these events. "Jessica." She approached with arms extended, her smile bright and authentic. "How wonderful to see you. You look absolutely stunning." "Thank you, Mrs. Westfall. The event is beautiful, as always. Please, call me Victoria. You know how much I value your opinion." She glanced around the room proudly. This year's theme is particularly meaningful, celebrating women who maintain integrity in challenging times. The words hit like a physical blow. Here was Victoria, honoring female integrity while her husband was destroying mine through his affair and reckless financial decisions that threatened everyone's livelihood. "Speaking of integrity," I said carefully, "there's something I wanted to give you privately." I led Victoria to a quiet corner near the auction display tables, away from the crowd but still visible to prevent any appearance of secrecy. My heart hammered against my ribs as I reached into my clutch. "A concerned employee asked me to give this to you," I said softly, extending the manila envelope. "They felt you deserved to know what's happening at Westfall." Victoria's expression shifted from curiosity to concern as she accepted the envelope. "A concerned employee? What kind of concerns?" "I think you should review this privately, when you have time to process it properly." I kept my voice gentle, sympathetic. "I debated whether to deliver this, but they insisted you deserved the truth." She turned the envelope over in her hands, clearly puzzled. "Jessica, you're worrying me. What is this about?" Just, take your time with it. And remember that you have people who care about you and want to support you through whatever comes next. Before she could ask more questions, I smiled and squeezed her hand gently. I should let you return to your guests. Thank you for a lovely evening. I walked away quickly, leaving her standing there with the envelope, confusion and growing alarm written across her face. The anonymous source had provided perfect legal cover. I was just the messenger. Sleep was impossible that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, imagining Victoria in her study, finally alone after the last guest had departed. The USB drive would slide into her laptop easily. The video files would load quickly. First, she'd see the security footage timestamp, the same day Nathan had fired me for budget cuts. Then she'd watch her husband and his mistress leaving the office together, intimate and comfortable in their deception. The parking garage footage would be devastating. Nathan's hand on Amanda's back, the kiss, the obvious familiarity between them. No room for misinterpretation or denial. The expense reports would add financial betrayal to personal betrayal. Company funds used for personal pleasure while employees lost jobs and the company struggled to survive. My phone buzzed at 1:12 a.m. Unknown number. I let it ring, my heart pounding. It rang again at 1:15, then 1:18. Each call went to voicemail, but no message was left. By 3 a.m., the calls had stopped. I finally drifted off to sleep, wondering if Victoria was having her own sleepless night across town, discovering the scope of her husband's betrayals. The society pages broke the news 3 days later. A simple announcement buried between charity fundraiser results and upcoming gallery openings. Victoria Westphal has filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. My coffee mug nearly slipped from my hands as I read the brief paragraph. No details, no accusations, just the cold legal language of a marriage ending. Within hours, my phone was buzzing with texts from former coworkers. The news had spread through Westphal Industries like wildfire. Group chats exploded with speculation and gossip. Harrison Phillips called directly, "Jessica, I assume you've seen the news about Nathan's divorce. The board is meeting tomorrow to discuss the implications for company leadership." The dominoes were falling exactly as planned. Nathan's personal scandal was becoming a professional liability, especially with Westphal's precarious financial position making stable leadership crucial. "The timing is unfortunate," I said carefully. Indeed. When a company is already facing challenges, leadership instability can be catastrophic. The board takes its fiduciary responsibility seriously. My LinkedIn profile showed unusual activity. Several executives and industry leaders had viewed it twice in one day. Word was spreading about my abrupt departure from Westphal, and people were connecting dots. Harrison's follow-up call confirmed my expectations. Emergency board meeting yesterday. Nathan wasn't invited. We met without him for over 3 hours to discuss succession planning and damage control. I nearly dropped my phone. An emergency board meeting without the CEO meant only one thing: they were discussing his immediate future. The board is concerned about multiple issues, Harrison continued. Financial performance, client retention, and now these personal matters that could affect company reputation. My anonymous source texted confirmation: Nathan's assistant quit this morning. Amanda being quietly transferred to subsidiary office. Board cleaning house. The exodus was beginning. Smart employees were reading the signals and positioning themselves before the final collapse. Stock dropped 6% overnight, Harrison added. Investors are spooked by the divorce announcement and speculation about leadership changes. As I hung up, I felt the familiar rush of victory approaching. Nathan's carefully constructed empire was developing cracks, and each crack was spreading faster than he could repair them. The financial pressure, combined with personal scandal, was creating the perfect storm for his downfall. The business columnist's piece appeared in Thursday's edition, strategically placed in the executive leadership section. The headline read, "When personal choices become professional liabilities during financial crisis." The article didn't mention Nathan by name, but everyone in the industry would understand the reference. Recent events at a struggling local corporation highlight the importance of ethical leadership during challenging times, the columnist wrote. When executives allow personal relationships to influence business decisions while their company faces financial difficulties, shareholders inevitably suffer. The comments section was brutal. About time someone addressed the nepotism problem, especially during budget cuts. CEO accountability matters more when companies are hemorrhaging money. Stockholders deserve better than soap opera drama while their investments tank. I read each comment twice, savoring the growing chorus of criticism. Nathan's reputation was bleeding out in real time, one anonymous comment at a time. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, "This won't stand." The message was deleted moments later, but I'd already screenshot it. Nathan was starting to panic. Good. Panic led to mistakes, and mistakes would accelerate his downfall. The morning news hit like a sledgehammer. Global Industries withdraws partnership, cites leadership concerns during financial instability. Global Industries had been Westfall's largest client, representing nearly 30% of their annual revenue. The partnership withdrawal would be devastating financially, but the public reason given was even worse. After careful consideration of recent leadership instability and financial performance concerns, Global's statement read, "We have decided to terminate our partnership with Westfall Industries. This decision reflects our commitment to working with organizations whose leadership demonstrates both personal integrity and business competence during challenging periods." The business world understood the subtext immediately. Global Industries wasn't just ending a contract. They were making a public statement about Nathan's character and leadership during a financial crisis. Harrison called within the hour, "This is catastrophic. Global represented our largest revenue stream during an already difficult period. The board is meeting in emergency session." I screenshot the announcement before it could be buried or modified. This was evidence of the real-world consequences of Nathan's choices affecting a company already struggling to survive. Within hours, 2 smaller clients announced they were reviewing their vendor relationships. The exodus was accelerating. My anonymous source provided the final intelligence. Amanda transferred to Dallas subsidiary. Officially a lateral move, actually exile. Board wants her away from headquarters during the investigation. Amanda's LinkedIn profile now showed Regional Operations Coordinator at an unnamed Westfall subsidiary. No mention of her brief stint as Operations Manager. The company was quietly burying her role in the scandal. But the damage was already done. Industry insiders knew about the affair, the inappropriate promotion, the company funds used for personal travel during budget cuts. Amanda's transfer wouldn't erase the scandal or restore financial confidence. Former co-workers reported that Nathan had stopped attending company social events. He arrived early, left late, and avoided casual conversations. The confident, charismatic leader I'd known for 13 years was becoming a ghost in his own company. His office blind stayed closed during the day. His assistant fielded all calls with, "Mr. Westfall is in meetings." The isolation was self-imposed, but it only made him appear more guilty while the company desperately needed strong leadership. Meanwhile, my consulting business was growing. Word had spread about my availability, and former clients were reaching out with projects. My reputation as a skilled, discreet professional remained intact while Nathan's crumbled. The press release was posted to Westfall's website at 5 p.m. on a Friday, the traditional time for burying bad news. The headline was corporate speak at its most euphemistic. Nathan Westfall steps down to focus on personal matters. 3 paragraphs of carefully crafted language couldn't hide the truth. Nathan had been forced out by the board, his resignation the only alternative to public termination during the company's financial crisis. The board of directors thanks Mr. Westfall for his years of service and wishes him well in his future endeavors, the statement concluded. Given current market challenges, the board will immediately begin searching for new leadership to guide the company through this transitional period. I read the announcement 3 times, each pass more satisfying than the last. 13 years of loyalty, destroyed in 3 months by Nathan's arrogance and poor judgment during the worst possible time. Harrison called immediately. The board acted unanimously. Nathan's leadership had become untenable given the financial pressures and public relations disaster. No quotes from Nathan in the press release. No statement about his plans. Just silence from a man who'd once commanded every room he entered. The hunter had finally become the hunted. The lunch invitation came from Thomas Richardson, CEO of Sterling Solutions, Westfall's primary competitor. His message was brief but intriguing. Would you be available for lunch next week? I'd like to discuss some opportunities. I knew Thomas by reputation. Brilliant strategist, ethical leader, someone who'd built his company through talent acquisition rather than political maneuvering. His interest felt like validation after months of uncertainty. The restaurant was elegant but understated, perfect for confidential business discussions. Thomas greeted me with genuine warmth and professional respect, a stark contrast to Nathan's manipulative charm. I've been following your career for years, he said over appetizers. Your reputation for operational excellence is well known in our industry. The conversation flowed naturally from industry trends to leadership philosophy to my experience at Westfall. Thomas listened intently, asking thoughtful questions without pressing for gossip about Nathan. I'll be direct, he said as dessert arrived. We're expanding our operations division. I'd like you to consider joining us as Chief Operations Officer. The title hit me like lightning. Cool. The position I'd dreamed of achieving at Westfall, the role Nathan had blocked through his preference for younger, less qualified candidates who happened to share his bed. The employment contract sat on my kitchen table like a winning lottery ticket. Chief Operations Officer, Sterling Solutions. 6-figure salary, equity package, full benefits, and most importantly, the respect I'd craved for years. I read every clause twice, savoring the details. Reporting directly to Thomas. Managing a team of 47 professionals. Overseeing operations for the fastest-growing firm in our sector. This is incredible, Karen said, reviewing the contract over wine. You went from unemployed to executive in 6 months. It's surreal, I admitted. 6 months ago, Nathan was blocking my advancement at every opportunity. Now I'm getting offered the exact position I wanted, at his biggest competitor. The irony was delicious. Nathan's betrayal had freed me to pursue opportunities I'd never imagined possible. His attempt to eliminate me from the industry had backfired spectacularly. What about non-compete issues? Karen asked. My severance package didn't include one. Nathan's lawyers overlooked that detail for operational staff. I signed the contract that evening, my signature bold and confident. The next morning, I would call Thomas and accept the position. Nathan had taught me that loyalty was weakness in the corporate world. Now I'd use that lesson to build the career he'd tried to destroy. My first day at Sterling Solutions felt like stepping into an alternate universe. Modern offices filled with natural light, collaborative workspaces, and an energy that Westfall had lost years ago. Most importantly, an office with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a perfect view of Westfall's headquarters across the street. "Thought you'd appreciate the scenery," Thomas said with a knowing smile as he showed me around. The symbolism wasn't lost on either of us. Every day, I'd look across at the building where I'd spent 13 years being undervalued and underestimated. Now I was positioned to compete directly against them during their most vulnerable period. My team welcomed me with enthusiasm and professionalism. Unlike Nathan's tendency to hire based on personal appeal, Thomas had assembled genuine talent. People who'd earned their positions through competence rather than connections. The first executive meeting revealed Sterling's aggressive growth strategy. We were targeting several of Westfall's remaining clients, offering superior service and competitive pricing during their leadership transition. "Jessica, I'd like you to lead the client acquisition initiative," Thomas announced. "Your industry relationships will be invaluable." As I accepted the assignment, I caught myself smiling. Nathan had no idea what was coming. The client poaching initiative exceeded all expectations. 3 of Westfall's top accounts agreed to meetings within the first month. Their frustration with Westfall's declining service standards and leadership instability made my job almost effortless. "We've been concerned about stability," admitted Patricia Hoffman, Westfall's former second-largest client. "The leadership changes, the financial uncertainty, the operational inconsistencies. Sterling offers exactly what we need during these uncertain times." Each client meeting felt like vindication. These were relationships I'd helped build during my years at Westfall, connections Nathan had assumed would remain loyal to the company regardless of leadership quality or financial stability. The first contract signing was ceremonial. Patricia Hoffman personally requested that I handle their account transition. The second client followed within days. The third sent a termination notice to Westfall before we'd even finished our presentation. "Whatever happened to Nathan Westfall?" Patricia asked during our final handshake. "He just seemed to disappear from the industry." I smiled politely, professionally. "I believe he's pursuing other interests now." The understatement of the year. Nathan's other interests consisted of unemployment, divorce proceedings, and watching his former company collapse under the weight of his poor decisions. 8 months later, I stood in my corner office, reviewing Sterling's quarterly reports. Revenue up 42%. Client satisfaction at an all-time high. 3 industry awards for operational excellence. My division had become the company's crown jewel. Westfall Industries had quietly filed for bankruptcy protection the previous week. The local business journal ran a brief obituary-style piece about the company's rapid decline following leadership instability and financial mismanagement during an already challenging market period. Nathan's name wasn't mentioned in the article. He'd become irrelevant, forgotten, a cautionary tale whispered in boardrooms about the dangers of mixing personal desires with professional responsibilities while your company burns around you. My assistant knocked softly. "Ms. Adams? There's someone here about the Henderson Industries account." I straightened my jacket and smiled. Henderson Industries, ironically, the former board chairman who'd overseen Nathan's termination. The business world was wonderfully small and endlessly circular. "Send them in," I said, glancing once more at the window overlooking Westfall's empty offices. Sometimes revenge wasn't fire and fury. Sometimes it was patience, precision, and the quiet satisfaction of watching gravity do its work on someone who'd forgotten that actions have consequences, especially during times of crisis. Nathan had taught me that loyalty was weakness. I'd taught him that betrayal had a price, and compound interest made it devastatingly expensive. "Budget cuts," I whispered to myself, laughing softly as I prepared for another successful client meeting. If this story resonated with you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, Trust me, there is more where this came from. Thanks for watching.